Hey guys, Read Aloud Saturday. Today is starting out the month of March with a St. Patrick's Day book about Jamie O'Rourke. And maybe you have read this one is Jamie O'Rourke and the Pooka by Tommy D. Paola. But there's also Jamie O'Rourke and the Big Potato. So, Jamie O'Rourke is the laziest man in Ireland. And St. Patrick's Day is coming up March 17th. And St. Patrick's Day is all about the Irish. And everyone is Irish on St. Patrick's Day. So on March 17th, a lot of Irish people have an O on the front of their name, like Jamie O'Rourke. I want you to have some fun that day and put an O on the front of your name if you don't have one. So my name is Priscilla Dwyer, and on St. Patrick's Day it will be Priscilla O'Dwyer. So I hope that you will have fun with that on St. Patrick's Day. But today, let's listen to Jamie O'Rourke and the Pooka by Tommy D. Paola. And maybe you've read some of other books by this author because he's a pretty famous children's author. Jamie O'Rourke, Eileen said, "Wake up, I've something to tell you." Jamie, who was the laziest man in all of Ireland, was sleeping in the warm sun outside their cottage. His wife gave him a shake. Wake up, for heaven's sake," Eileen said again. "I'm not sleeping," Jamie answered with a yawn. "Sure, I was sitting here thinking." "Now, Jamie, please listen," Eileen replied. "Do you remember when I'm going up to visit my sister Kathleen and her family to help with the new baby?" Jamie let out a snore. Eileen poked him. "What are you doing, woman? Can't you see I'm right in the middle of solving a great problem?" Jamie answered. "Well, now all the fine thoughts I was having have clear flown out of my head. You might as well tell me what's going on." Didn't she just tell him that she was leaving to go stay with her sister for a bit? Eileen explained to Jamie, for the 40th time most likely, that she was off to Kathleen's and would be there for the better part of a week. "Now," Eileen went on, "I've cleaned the cottage from top to bottom. I've cooked all the good things and put them in the larder. And all you have to do is the washing up each night and give a quick swipe of the broom every now and then." Well, me darling, you're too good for the likes of me," Jamie said. "But don't you be worrying. I'll take good care of everything so you won't even know you've been away. Now give us a kiss and be off with you." Down the road went Eileen O'Rourke. What do you think is going to happen while she's gone? Let's see. "All of this commotion has made me tired as a farmer plowing 5 fields," Jamie said to himself. "I think I'll just have me a lie down. And sure, isn't it a sweet idea? If I stay in bed and only get up for a bite, I'll not be dirtying a thing." So Jamie O'Rourke climbed into bed, even though the sun was high in the sky, and he fell asleep. Jamie O'Rourke," 3 voices called outside the door. "Where are you, man? We heard Eileen's off to her sister's, so we've come to keep you company." So there he is sleeping, and there are the pets hearing somebody at the door. Jamie woke up and recognized the voices of his cronies, Patrick, Michael, and Seamus. Jamie got out of bed, and since he hadn't taken off his clothes, he didn't have to be putting them on again. Come in, lads," Jamie said, opening the door. The sun was sinking behind the hills. So there's his friends, Patrick, Michael, and Seamus. "Well, what do we have here?" Jamie asked, pointing at a crockery jug. "This is the finest cider you'll taste this side of the county," Patrick said. "Get some mugs," Michael said. "And some grub," Seamus said. He knew that Eileen wouldn't leave Jamie without plenty of good things to eat. When the food was on the table and mugs, plates, and knives and forks too, they all sat down. They had themselves a fine old time, laughing and eating until it was time to go home. Let's see what happens. Well, the three friends told Jamie, we'll be heading down the hill and you'll be wanting to get your rest, Jamie. Tomorrow you'll be having a busy morning cleaning up all this mess. Aye, that's the truth, lads, Jamie said, looking around. But the mere sight of the messy cottage made him the most tired man in all of Ireland, as well as the laziest. So he went to bed. What do you do at your house? Do your mom and dad clean up before they go to bed, or do they leave things till the morning? Different parents have different ways of handling things. How do you handle it at your house? Jamie left the mess for the morning. Let's see what happens. Jamie was fast asleep when a noise woke him. It was the sound of the cottage door and the clatter of hooves on the stone floor. Jamie opened one eye to take a peek. And what a sight he saw! He couldn't tell if it was a man or a donkey standing there. Whatever it was, it had long ears and a tail. Saints preserve us, Jamie whispered. I may as well begin first as last, the creature, who was a Pooka, said aloud to himself. He stirred the fire, poured some water into a big pot, and put it on the fire. As soon as the water was hot, the Pooka washed the dishes, the mugs, and the cutlery. He put the leftovers in proper dishes and back into the larder. He swept the floor and gave the fire a good raking. Then the Pooka left the house with such a slam of the door that Jamie nearly fell out of bed. So this little monster came and cleaned the house. The next evening, when Patrick, Michael, and Seamus came by with a fresh jug of cider, they were amazed to see the cottage as if Eileen had been there. How did this all happen? They asked. Well, me lads, Jamie replied, I got up with the birds and cleaned it up just like any good husband would do when his darling wife is away. Patrick, Michael, and Seamus looked at each other. They didn't really believe Jamie, but there it was. So the four friends had another grand time, just like the night before. When his friends had gone, leaving even more of a mess, Jamie climbed into bed. But instead of falling asleep, he waited under the covers. Sure enough, the door opened and the Pooka was back, cleaning up everything fast and furiously. This is luck indeed, Jamie said to himself. Why would this creature come in and cleaning up? I can have me cronies here every night. Every night, that is, until Eileen gets home. And that is what he did. Night after night, Jamie, Patrick, Michael, and Seamus had a grand old time, making a grand old mess. And every night, the Pooka came in and set things to right. By the end of the week, Jamie was curious about this accommodating creature, so he decided to stay up and have a chat with him. He was a little scared when the Pooka came in and went right to the fire, but he took a deep breath, swallowed a mouthful of cider for courage, and spoke up. Now then, sir, if I'm not taking a liberty, might I be knowing who you are and why you're so kind as to do the cleaning up each night after me friends and myself? The Pooka turned and looked at Jamie. I'll tell ya, and you're welcome to it. A long time back, I was the laziest servant that was ever clothed and fed, and did no work for it. When my time came for the other world, this is the punishment I was given for my lazy ways, to find a place each night to labor in. As I was wandering by the other night, I looked in the window of your cottage. As sure as can be, you needed my help. It's not so bad, for at least I'm not out in the cold, but when I finish my work, the saints preserve us, that cold wind goes right through my bones. It wouldn't be so hard if I had me a nice warm coat. Well, Jamie thought, I can probably help the poor creature out. The next night, after his friends left, Jamie sat and waited for the Pooka. Eileen would be home tomorrow, but Jamie wasn't worried. He knew the Pooka would do an excellent job of cleaning up, especially when Jamie gave him the old coat he had pulled out from the trunk. As soon as the Pooka came in, Jamie showed him the coat. He helped him into it and buttoned it up. The Pooka went to the mirror. He was most pleased with what he saw. I am much obliged to you, Jamie O'Rourke. You have made me happy at last. Now I'll be saying good night to you. The Pooka turned to go. Wait, cried Jamie. You're leaving too soon. What about the washing up and the sweeping? Ah, the Pooka said. Now it's your turn. My punishment was only to last until some kind creature like yourself liked the way I'd done my duty and rewarded me for it. Goodbye. You'll see no more of me. The Pooka left, and there was Jamie with the mess. Or should we say Eileen, for when she arrived the next morning and looked around the cottage, she said, Oh, Jamie O'Rourke, what do you have to say for yourself? He didn't clean up. He really is the laziest man in all of Ireland, isn't he? But Jamie said nothing. He was too busy thinking he shouldn't have been in such a hurry to reward that ungrateful Pooka. And then the author leaves a little note about Pookas in Irish tradition, and it says, according to William Butler Yeats, who collected, edited, and published many Irish folktales, a Pooka is an animal spirit who lives a solitary life. Some people think that the word Pooka comes from the Gaelic word poke, a he-goat. Others also think that a Pooka is the forefather of Shakespeare's Puck. Pookas come in many forms: a horse, a he-goat, a donkey, a bull, even an eagle. One of the most famous Pookas is Harvey, the ubiquitous friend of Jimmy Stewart in the play and the movie of the same name. Our Pooka was once a very lazy man who, when his time came for the other world, was given a punishment for his lazy ways. He had to come back to Earth as a Pooka and make up for all the work he failed to do when he was alive. So watch out, Jamie O'Rourke. Have a great Saturday. See you next time.